Ready for a crash course on the nostalgic Down East-Acadia region of Maine? Not a New Englander? Are you wondering why go to Maine? Heard of the Rocky Coast, lighthouses, and lobsters? I'm taking you on a 36-hour behind-the-scenes look at Down East Maine with a half-day trip to the way overcrowded Acadia National Park. Walk up to a historically geographical significant lighthouse. Stroll Water Street in historic Lubec, a geographic defining seaport town. I will show you a popular Down East Maine restaurant, a historic tavern, see our wooden tent, and most important, take you to a lobster shack to get fresh, live Maine lobster. I just realized even if you are a New Englander, this all might be a surprise to you. My armchair travelers, you are going to love this trip, and for my trucker friends, chained to the turnpike, ride with me to get a closer look at this famous off-the-beaten-path New England destination. Hang on for this second part of my 3-part adventure series on Down East Maine as you travel across America with me. This is technically part 2 of our 36-hour whirlwind trip to Roosevelt Campobello International Park over in New Brunswick, Canada. It's just a quick mile across the Roosevelt Memorial Bridge to Franklin Delano Roosevelt's beloved Campobello. FDR's lifetime of joy was interrupted with a life-changing bout with polio. You will want to watch President Franklin Roosevelt's secluded getaway revealed. This intriguing Part 1 not only takes you inside the Roosevelt cottage into an unknown part of his life, plus you will see 2 Canadian island lighthouses on the Atlantic coast. Now buckle up and put on your walking shoes or flip-flops in my case, because we're starting our adventure in remote little Lubec, Maine, the easternmost town in the United States. You all know how much I love geographic landmarks. You do, right? I recently posted a video, road trip to geographic landmarks from the big island of Hawaii to northern South Dakota and Key West, Florida. See thrilling geographic landmarks that you will no doubt want to stuff in your bucket list. But you've got to watch that video. Even though this was the heat of the tourist season, this afternoon Lubec was uncrowded with only a few pubs open. We had spent most of the afternoon on Campobello Island, which is in the Atlantic time zone, which is an important note. We gained our lost hour after going through the U.S. port of entry on the Roosevelt Memorial Bridge. We parked at a closed gift shop, disappointed because we wanted a souvenir, a postcard at least. We strolled the almost vacant water street of Lubec, where the sun rises first in America. You gotta love that. Passing eclectic art called beach trash and sea junk puppets, there was a whale skull along the sidewalk. A large wooden structure complex included a museum and information about the historic McCurdy Smokehouse complex. The History Museum had just closed for the day. Check their website for hours. This was the last operating commercial herring smokehouse in the United States. It closed in 1991, not all that long ago, ending the commercial smoking of herring in this nation. How many of you knew that? Bet you are really glad to know that tidbit of history. Do you like smoked herring? Do you eat sardines? Let us all know in the comments below. They choke the herring and dry them out before going to the smokehouse? That's interesting, I think. We saw that there were major repairs underway, and this makes me happy. Let's hold on to our heritage and history. You agree, right? The smoked herring industry was one of the most important industries of Down East Maine. McCurdy's was the last of the last. Beginning in the 1890s and until 1991, herring were smoked here in smokehouses on the Lubec Narrows using a traditional process with European roots. During the peak of the herring industry in Lubec in the 1920s, there were over 20 sardine canneries, speaking of sardines, and almost 30 herring smokehouses. By the mid-1970s, McCurdy stood alone, the last smokehouse still curing herrings from markets around the country. The history of the smoked herring industry is being told in our historic McCurdy Smokehouse Museum in the skinning and packing shed. We continued on Water Street to reach the ferry landing and boat launch. There is a seasonal ferry service over to Eastport and other points beyond. This is where we saw the Lost Fisherman Memorial. The Lubec Narrows link to the Bay of Fundy and the Atlantic Ocean. The Lost Fisherman's Memorial honors the legacy of those who have lost their lives in the pursuit of their livelihood of fishing. This quote from John F. Kennedy is on one of the plaques. "We have salt in our blood, and our sweat, and our tears. We are tied to the ocean, and when we go back to the sea, we are from whence we came." The sculptor, Jesse Salisbury's Memorial bridges grief and healing. Oh, look, there's the Mulholland Lighthouse over on Campobello Island that we went to. Speaking of lighthouses, it's time to get to the West Quoddy Lighthouse at Quoddy Head State Park. Quoddy Head State Park is located 4 miles off Main Route 189 out of Lubec, on the easternmost point of land in the United States. On this 530 32-acre park are 4.5 miles of hiking trails, extensive forest, 2 bogs, a diverse habitat for rare plants, and the striking red and white striped lighthouse tower of West Quoddy Headlight. After parking in the upper parking area, pay the park fee at the self-service pay station. Quoddy Head State Park is a fun and fascinating destination for all visitors to Down East Maine. In 1808, West Quoddy Headlight became the easternmost lighthouse in the United States. It was commissioned by President Thomas Jefferson. Its light and fog cannon warned mariners of Quoddy's dangerous cliffs, ledges, and sail rock. Among the first to use a fog bell and later a steam-powered foghorn. This lighthouse greatly reduced shipwrecks in this foggy area, even as shipping increased. In 1858, the present red and white tower replaced the original. Monitored and serviced by the U.S. Coast Guard, its light still shines through its original third-order Fresnel lens. After automation in 1988, the light station became part of adjacent Quoddy Head State Park. The tower is closed, but visitors are welcome to enjoy the lighthouse grounds and explore the visitor center and museum run by the West Quoddy Headlight Keepers Association. Since we had spent so much time on Campobello, we missed getting inside the visitor center. But no worries, the stunning ocean views, historic lighthouse and geographic point, and varied trails are our prime reason for going to Quoddy Head State Park. The skies were overcast, and New England has been experiencing less rain than usual, so the foliage wasn't as green and robust as it could have been. But the undercarriage was incredible. With evening coming on, we chose the coastal trail with some challenging terrain, aiming at the bog trail to see the carnivorous plants, then the inland trail to get back to our car because we still had to get to Machias to have a lobster roll and find our hidden in the woods Airbnb. Of all the trails there, I'm sure you won't be disappointed in your choice. Walking along the elevated coastline is stupendous, and fortunate summer hikers might spot a migrating whale. Take a pair of binoculars to verify your finds. Some whales made and calve in this part of the Bay of Fundy. West Quoddy Headlight looks over the islands of 2 nations, Grand Manan, which was settled by British loyalists, Campobello, where we went in Part 1, and the Wolves, which lie in Canada. Sail Rock, which reportedly caused many shipwrecks off these shores, belongs to the United States. The shape of the Bay of Fundy causes great high tides, and for those of you choosing to explore this coastal area in greater detail, I recommend investigating the tidal oddities found here. Those are best explored by boat. Hey, stick with me. The conifer woods, rich in mosses and lichens, are a true hiker's delight. We walked the boardwalk through the bog area to see the pitcher plants. Pitcher plant leaves have nectar glands that attract insects. The cone-shaped leaves, lined with downward-pointing hairs, also form a natural insect trap. When an insect climbs inside the plant, the hairs prevent its escape. Eventually, it falls into the water, which has accumulated in the base of the leaf and is digested by the plant's secreted enzymes. We're growing tired and hungry, and our 6 a.m. start on the long drive from northern New Hampshire to the bold coast and the great time on Campobello Island, then the stroll in Lubec, the quaint seaport town, and this dynamic state park, it builds an appetite. We have an hour drive to get to Helen's restaurant in Machias and find our wooden tent that doesn't have running water or power. Gonna be interesting. We won't make it before dark. Wait until you see the sunset we experienced. We had to wait almost 45 minutes to get a table at Helen's. Once seated, the service was great, and the fresh Atlantic seafood was tremendous. The toasted roll and fresh lobster bathed in butter was the best lobster roll I have ever eaten. We ordered a raspberry pie to go. We had to get going. I had seen a sign for a historic tavern. Traveling with me is a brown sign feast. As the sky was growing dim, we pulled over to take these photos of the Burnham Tavern, built in 1770. There were several signs, including one commemorating the Revolutionary War patriots of 1775 to 1783. Drink for the thirsty, food for the hungry, lodging for the weary, good keeping for the horses. By Job Burnham. Now let's enjoy the sunset drive to Millbridge. I'll show you our wooden tent in part 3 when we can see it better for ourselves. We're going to grab a latte and get to Acadia National Park. Plus, buy those live lobsters, flip-flops, on the ground, and classic road trip. If you haven't watched part 1, President Franklin Roosevelt's secluded getaway, please watch it now. Part 3 is coming next Monday. Hit the notifications bell so that you will be alerted.